Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. First of all, I'd like to thank Kim and the PCP group. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Congratulations on your first conference, and I wish there's many, many more to come. Well done, guys. Right, so change doesn't just roll in on the wheels of inevitability. It takes hard work, it takes sacrifice, and it takes total dedication. We must learn to fight for our rights and our freedom. We must learn to keep our backs straight. Only a person with a bent back gets ridden. And you guys, have absolutely proven that. So I like to go back to 2019 when I came into the campaign. So SRE was introduced in 2000 under the Children's Learning and Skills Act. So it's been around since 2000, but most of us parents here, like Lisa says, we were sleeping on the wheel. We didn't know about it. In 2019, when the Birmingham parents started to protest, we didn't protest because we were against, sex education or anything like that. Our children are coming home telling the parents, little girls at the age of 7, 6, 5, as young as 4-year-olds were coming home telling their parents that they want to become a boy. And boys were coming home telling their mothers that we want to become girls. And I heard many stories from friends, from immediate family, and from people I would meet where boys would come home at the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, primary age children, and they'd want to put on their mother's clothes, wear their mother's nail varnish. And when the parents would ask the children, where did this come from? They'd say, well, our teacher told us. She said, you could be a male in a female's body, and you could be a female in a male's body. Now, the parents got concerned, they were really worried, and they started to go to the schools, and they wanted to find out what's being taught. The schools didn't want to know, they didn't want to listen to us, so we started to knock on the doors of the MPs and the councillors. We weren't getting any support at all. We had no choice, we started the protests. When we started the protests, now, I want to just mention something here. There's something very important I want to mention to everybody here. The importance of unity. How we Birmingham parents did it. And we were very, very fortunate. I come from a multicultural community in Edgbaston, Birmingham. And when I was growing up, we had the white community, the Sikh community, we had people from all backgrounds. And everybody had humanity. Everybody loved each other. My father left us when I was about 5 years old, so my mother brought us up on her own. I was quite fortunate. My grandfather came around when I was about 7, 8 years old, and he sort of helped us out. When the rest of the community found out my father's left, what they'd done was they started to bring food to our house. And they were offering food to my mother because they heard that her husband had left and there were 6 children. My mother was a very proud person. She never accepted the food. She always returned the food. But what she did accept was any type of help from the community. There used to be this elderly person. He was a white gentleman and, very classy gentleman. He had one of them James Cagney hats, and he used to smoke this pipe with tobacco in it, the old school one. And he had this elk hound, and it was a beautiful elk hound, grey. I think he was from the Spitz breed because he had one of them curly tails. And he would walk past us, and he'll always stop, and he'll say, "Hello, dear, how are you?" I was about 5 years old, and my other siblings were quite young as well. And we sort of gave him that nickname. We used to call him Hello Dear. Every time we used to see him from a distance walking down, we used to say, "Oh, it's Hello Dear." And he'll stop by and he'll pull out 10 pence and he'll give it to each one of his children. And he'll give us a hug. And he repeated that for many years. My mother, as a single parent, she didn't know how to get things done, especially when it came to repairing the house and this and that and everything. So she'd go to the local school. The headmaster at the school was a Scotsman, lovely gentleman, the last of the real gentlemen. And he didn't know, how to help her. But you know what he did instead? On his lunch break, he'll come around and he'll do repairs in the house on his lunch break. And I'll stand and I'll watch him. Can you imagine that? Lovely people. And the whole community was like that. That's how we grew up. Fast forwarding now to 2019, when our campaign starts, I was abroad when I found out that there was a little girl that came home, a lovely little girl, and she told her mother that they're teaching her in school that two guys can get married and have children. So she came home and she told her mother that, Mom, that isn't true, is it? You have to get married, don't you, to a woman. A man has to get married to a woman. And her mother said, so, where did you learn this? So she told her mother that this is what they're teaching us in school. So I received a telephone call while I was abroad. I was attending a wedding. So I told my missus, this is what you need to do. You need to go to the school. You need to find out what exactly is being taught, and speak to the head teachers. She called me back the next day after she had spoken with the school, and she said they're not really interested in, telling us what's going on and everything. So I told her, well, you need to get some more people together. Get some people together, go back to the school, and then basically start, raising your voices and your concerns. So that happened. There was about 15, 20 mothers that got together and they started to basically raise their concerns. School wasn't having any of it. What the school did was basically forcefully kicked off the mothers off the school premises and then said that we don't want you on the school premises. By then, I had returned. When I had returned to the UK and I came back to the community, I found that a lot of my friends and that, they had created 3 groups, a group A, a group B, and a group C. And what they did was, the group A basically was sitting around a table and they were looking at everything that was being taught and how they could fight against it. And then you had the group C that were running to the school. We had spokesmen that were going to the school, speaking to the head teachers, speaking to the teachers. Slowly, we probably had about 1,000 parents standing with us. Yeah? Thank you very much. We had about 1,000 parents standing with us. That more or less the whole of the community had come together in 2-3 weeks. And it had been years since we sort of seen that unity. It was absolutely amazing. Once we all got together, we started to put pressure on the schools. We started to do our research, and when we done our research, at the time, SRE, it wasn't mandatory, it wasn't compulsory. So parents had the option to have their children, it didn't need to be taught. It didn't become compulsory, I think, until 2019. And it didn't change to RSE until 2017, because they wanted to basically emphasize on the relationships part. So anyway, we had laws, the European Convention on Human Rights. Every parent has a legal right to educate their children in conformity to their religious and philosophical convictions. And that was reincorporated into the Human Rights Act, I think in 1998. So we had these laws, but why weren't the schools listening to us? We got the governors together, we got the MPs, the councillors. We put so much pressure on the school. After 2 months of fighting hard, we got rid of that program. After 2 months of fighting, this is where I take my hat off to Kim and the PCP, who have been doing it for 3 long years now. 5 long years. I've only been around for about 3 years, isn't he? Yeah, so 5 long years. 2 months after fighting, The whole of the area went into hibernation. Everybody was exhausted. We didn't see anybody for about 3 weeks because every single day for those 2 months, we were getting together, we were eating together, drinking together. I gave up work for about 6 months just so I can learn all the legislation, the laws, the policies, and exactly where this was coming from. When I went right down to the roots of where this program was coming from, where this type of education was coming from, it's called the Prussian education system. And it starts in 1806 when Napoleon defeats the Prussians in the Battle of Jena. So the Prussians sort of analyzed what was happening and why they lost and how they lost. So they realized the best way, so basically what was happening was, if there was 1,000 of Napoleon's soldiers and 100 of the Prussians realized, okay, we're going to get our butts kicked in. So they'd run. Now, the Prussians wanted to change that. So what they'd decided was to create a program to psychologically work on the soldiers' minds. So the key proponent was Wilhelm Wundt. He was a psychoanalyst of the time. And he was given this task. I think it was 30 years later or 20 years later or so, they used that on the soldiers. It was successful. They totally submitted. So the Prussians said, why shall we stop here? If we can control the military, we can control the whole of the population. So what they decided to do was work on the children. Now, how do you work on the children? Most of the children were home educated. John Taylor Gatto, who was a teacher for 30 years and won many awards for the best teacher of the year, he says children grew up with natural skills. Then you had to cook, then you had to hunt, then you had to build. Reading and writing, those skills they acquired at home. It only takes 50 hours to teach a child to read, write, and count. So why is it after 13 years of school, children still can't speak proper English or, Right. So this is a Prussian education system. It's people feel that they're depriving the children of a quality education by not sending them to school. Statistically, if you look at it, home-educated children do far better than children that go to schools. So yes, they started to work on, okay, all the children are being home-educated, so how do they indoctrinate those children? By making schooling compulsory. Sorry, Kim, how long have I got? Sorry? Oh, okay. So basically, by 1870, it became compulsory in America. By 1880, it was compulsory here. I'll finish off by saying the most important message I did want to give today is, the unity. As long as we unite, we come together, we can achieve miracles. And we all are the same. If you study genealogy and you study the bloodlines, we all come from the same places. We've just been traveling from one side of the world to the other side. We all come from the same places. The word German comes from the word Karman, and Karman is a place in Persia. The word Persia comes from the name Perseus. Perseus was the mythological son of Zeus. The ginger hair and the red hair, the genes and the bloodlines have been traced back to Persia. My own family tree comes from Persia as well. Although my parents, my grandparents, and great-grandparents come from Kashmir, but my family tree comes from Persia. We're all the same. We need to unite. The only way we can win this, back in 2019, my main focus was on mass withdrawals from schools. Because just like any other business, schools are businesses. You boycott, they get out of business, they don't like losing a penny, And they have to change the legislation. They have to put a stop to this flipping horror. So if we come together, we can achieve miracles, just like we've seen with the PCP. So please, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Azhar, for that speech. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge, Azhar is, and he has done a lot of brilliant work, and we're proud for him to be by us, next to us. So I just want to thank you.